Cargo vans, delivery vans, they make the country run. Here in Florida, well, in the United States in general, we couldn't have heating and cooling technicians without cargo vans. You couldn't have locksmiths. You couldn't have delivery vans to deliver all of our goods. Guys, they are the backbone, the silent backbone of the economy. But check out this. General Motors, their Bright Drop van is piling up on lots. They are throwing money at this vehicle. It is not seemingly competitive against Ford's E-Transit and Rivian's fleet van. We're going to tackle this today, and they're throwing thousands, tens of thousands of dollars at this van to move them. Now, and tariffs haven't even hit. This thing's made in Canada. That's really going to spice things up. We're going to break this down today. The flaws of General Motors and them not being able to, I guess, address the market and with a product that meets the market where it's at. Ford is doing that. Rivian seemingly doing that as well. Guys, grab your snacks and drinks, buckle in. Make sure you're subscribed because I cover car news every day just about. I just got back from Puerto Rico, so wait for a couple days. I'll have my Honda Passport driving impressions that I drove in the jungles there. So make sure you subscribe. And we'll also talk a little bit about the recent tariff drama, which I know we all love. And then also Honda is building in Ohio. Okay, guys, grab your snacks and drinks, buckle in. Like I said, most of you have already got your drinks, your snackies. Let's get into it. All right, GM's storing poor selling Canadian-made electric vans in Michigan. So they've already crossed the border. They're not going to be hit with tariffs at this point, right? It's the future ones that could. GM is contending with a glut of slow-selling Bright Drop electric delivery vans. That's the key thing here, all right, that they are electric. But I'll talk about the pros and cons of their product here in a little bit. This is presenting a flawed projection, go figure, of General Motors and their EV sales, leaving hundreds of the vehicles parked on both sides of the U.S. and Canadian border. Well, the ones on the Canadian side, they better stay over there because if they bring them over after April 2nd, they're going to be tariffed. So just leave those vans on that side of the border to address the Canadian market. But they're piling up on both sides. The market does not need them. The Ingersoll, Ontario plant produces the all-electric vans just reopened after a 2-week shutdown related to inventory. Well, that's not good for the employees either. All right, so they're furloughed probably for 2 weeks, not getting paid because no one's buying the vans they're building. GM is reportedly offering tens of thousands of dollars. We're going to get that. They detailed these rebates here in a little bit, so it's quite messy. The struggles come less than a year after GM folded the commercial vans into its Chevy brand in a bid to boost its performance as GM tries to gain ground against competitors, including Ford and Rivian. All right, those are the two biggest ones. Mercedes has the e-Sprinter, but that's not really, it's not a serious volume competitor yet. Doesn't this sound familiar? Okay, they were selling them as a Bright Drop. Would that name already is just, it's silly sounding. It's like Toyota's BZ4X, and Toyota's going to be like, hey, all of our electric vehicles are going to be beyond zero. There's going to be BZ5X, BZ3X, BZ2X, BZ3, BZ3C, BZ, it's stupid. And they realize that people who like Toyotas and even don't like Toyotas think it's stupid. They are essentially scrapping it. There's not going to be, at least for the Western markets and Japan probably, there's not going to be any more BZ whatevers. It's BZ4X and it's going to die there. In China, they have the BZ3, the BZ3X, the BZ whatevers. All right, they do that in China. It's a different market. But everywhere else they dropped it. And now General Motors fell into that same pitfall. It's like, oh, we're going to have a fresh new name and sell it under this new Bright Drop name. And now they're saying, okay, well, people just want to buy a Chevy, a brand that they have 100 years or whatever of brand equity within Chevy. And they're just like, now we're just going to throw it to the wind because, you know, people are going to ask, what is Bright Drop? No, they don't care about Bright Drop. People do have brand recognition with Chevy, be it good or bad, but they should have been branded as a Chevy the whole time. Well, they figured it out, but maybe it's too late. Before incentives, these vans cost $74,000. The E-Transit with extended range battery is $51,000, $20,000 cheaper. Okay, so I do have a spreadsheet. I went to each and every Builder site. I got some of the data here. All right. And we do have general, I guess, specifications. Now, the thing about the Ford E-Transit is that it can be had with different roof sizes. It does take a while to load. We'll just confirm changes. So here's the mid roof, and then you have a high roof as well. So this also has a long range or long extended version as well. As you'll see that it gets quite fat in the back. She's got some junk in the trunk here. All right. But the E-Transit is what these businesses need. It's very customizable. It's more affordable. Now, if you look at Rivian, I think they just have two designs. They have a shorter one. Look how cute it is. That's the thing. Rivian's got the designs. The E-Transit looks like a turd, but it's just a work vehicle. People are okay with I mean, it's definitely not alluring from an aesthetic point of view, but it's pure work, pure commercial. All right. And then you see the Rivians, which are just so cute. My girls, they don't know that many brands of cars, okay? But when they see a Rivian Amazon Prime vehicle, they say, look, it's the electric Amazon vehicle, Dad. And they think it's just cute. I agree. I love round headlights. You guys, I'm a sucker for round headlights on motorcycles too. All right, it's just such a cool design. People are buying E-Transits. Maybe they care a little bit about how they look. Now, what about the bright drops? I can't believe I'm comparing E-Vans right now in terms of the design. A little RoboCopy. It doesn't look terrible. It kind of reminds me of like a twisted metal sliding door, sweet tooth sort of van. That'd be a cool like decal package to put on here, twisted metal with the ice cream cone on top. But it costs as much, if not more, than the Rivian. And the Rivian has fantastic electric vehicles. They have fantastic software. And if I was spending 80 grand on an electric van, it wouldn't be going to Chevy and BrightDrop. I'll say that much. All right. So looking at the spreadsheet that I've compared these vans, yes, GM has the best range. And it's not even close. Okay. They have enormous range. They have really big batteries on here. You can get all-wheel drive. All right. They have a lot of cargo space, more than what the E-Transit offers, even in the most expanded form. All right. But it's just too costly. So if people are looking for a domestic made van, they'll get the E-Transit, save almost $25,000. Rivian, is much more expensive. They have the huge contract with Amazon. Here's the thing. We're going to get into this in a little bit, where the range doesn't matter as much on even. If you need to have lots of range, don't buy an electric van. That like defeats the purpose. All right. It's just electric vehicles are all about convenience in town. You don't need a lot of range on your EV unless it replaces your gas car completely. You don't have a second car for gas. And then it becomes a little bit more needy. You have to look for charging stations. You have to spend time charging. But E-vans are genius delivery vans. They should replace all of the mail cars in the United States. The postal, not all of them, but most of them. Most of them that do city deliveries, whether it's Postal Service, USPS, or FedEx, or whatever, most of them should be electric. The ones that have to do longer range, yes, they should be gas. All right, or diesel. There is a market for electric vans, just not at $80,000. Well, Amazon begs to differ, but Amazon probably has a secret price that we don't know about. Right? Amazon is a huge investor into that company. So Chevy's offering rebates up to 40% on the larger van. They can't move it. And GM also, I don't even want to know how much money they poured into this plant in Ingersoll, I could be butchering that, but up in Ontario for EV production, including funding support from the United States and Canada. And here these vans being discounted 40%. They're piling up on lots. Let this image sink into your head. This is not something I would have expected from the United States. We see pictures like this of EVs just piling up and wasting away in China. But in the United States and Canada, this is crazy. Unifor Local 88 said the BrightDrop vehicles in Flint had always been slated for the U.S. market, the ones that are piled up there. And they have nothing to do with the tariffs. The rapid appearance is due to refining border crossing transportation to include shipments by rail. That's good. If the vehicles remain in Flint, one official said from the union, it is likely because dealers aren't buying them. People aren't buying these. Companies aren't buying them. They're too expensive and they don't fit the needs. And if they do need an e-van, they're buying them from somewhere else more than likely. So BrightDrop sales figures fall short of its immediate competitors. Oh my gosh, GM only sold 1,500 BrightDrop e-vans last year in the US. Ford sold let's just say 10 times as many. Ford sold 10 times as many, over 12,000 e-transits, and Rivian sold 10 times as many as over 13,000 EDV, which costs the same. But it's that Amazon money feeding them. All right, BrightDrop, however, does outsell Mercedes-Benz. Great, good for you guys. Not by much. They almost doubled them though. E-Sprinter vans sold 828 last year. I don't know where those are made. Let me look those up. It looks like they make them in North Charleston, South Carolina, and of course in Germany. So those would avoid tariffs. I would say probably most of them would avoid major tariffs. From now until June 30th, this van, both variants of the van are available with a $25,000 plus purchase rebate through the country as part of the 25 model year BrightDrop Consumer Cash Program. Based on our analysis, these savings appear to be stackable, bringing up to $31,000 in savings. Well, where are we at? So if we take $30,000 off of this, it's $45,000. Ford e-Transits probably also have their own rebates, I would imagine, which is going to undercut GM's. All right, GM's have better specs, but not the customization that Ford does. GM remains optimistic about its BrightDrop future. Customers continue to add BrightDrop products to their fleets, thanks to best-in-class available range and complete suite of driver safety solutions. They also just hired a new vice president to oversee GM Evolve, its fleet and commercial business software platform, Ian Hucker. He was with GM in the past, but he was also chief CCO, so Chief Commercial Officer for Hyundai Capital Europe. GM has more than 340 dealers selling these vans, but maybe the dealers aren't interested in selling the vans and there's just not the consumer demand anyway. Now, Ford's CEO, Jim Farley, says Ford's competitors continue bringing expensive EVs to market. That's not going to work. Ford realizes expensive long-range EVs right now, especially in the commercial market, but Ford's losing like $5-6 billion a year on long-range EVs. They're too expensive. They're too wasteful. People are not buying them. We have to incentivize them too much. And that's the same thing for electric vans. So their electric vans have like a 90 kilowatt hour battery, something like that. And they don't offer like insane range, but the average delivery van travels fewer than 70 miles a day. This is the kicker. It's like you would think General Motors would have done their research to know that, okay, well, we have an extra 200 miles here. That's going to give these customers some peace of mind. No, commercial buyers and users of the van, they're just going to buy what they need and nothing more. This is a business they're trying to run. This is not a consumer at the retail store saying, oh yeah, I just want to have 300 miles of range. Maybe never ever use it, but just to have the peace of mind if they ever go on a road trip. These commercial vans are not going on road trips. They're delivering packages and doing work around town where you don't need range, and they're extremely efficient in town, require less maintenance, break down less in theory. All right, so you don't need a lot of range, and the average that they need is about $70 a day or 70 miles a day. Then they'll just charge up at home. They'll never ever use a public charging station. Most of them, they'll just charge back at the business garage when they get back. 60% of Ford's fleet customers return to corporate lots or garages at night where they can recharge for next day's driving. Chevy made an $800 million investment to convert the Cami assembly line to an EV factory to build the vans. They were making 300,000 Equinoxes there per year. They're made in, I think, Mexico now. And adding Chevy to the BrightDrop name has not improved sales. We're going to transition here to some tariff drama. Now, Trump was called out by some CEOs in Europe that he said, hey, if you raise your prices, you shouldn't do that. And they were saying like he threatened them. But it comes out, or at least according to his word, he's He's like, I could care less what they do with their prices. In fact, if they raise their prices, that's better for the American products because those aren't going to get massive price increases. They will get price increases, 2 to 9%, something like that, compared to the 25+% on imported vehicles. All right. So it's just some of that drama. Trump said he never said that automakers shouldn't raise their prices, especially foreign ones. This did give me some clarity on the tariffs, however. Now, we know the tariffs are starting April 2nd, April 3rd, right? And that's mainly on imported cars. Okay. But on May 3rd, the tariffs expand to engines, transmissions, and electrical systems. But the small parts that are in the free trade agreement between the US and Canada will be initially spared. They don't know how to tariff them because they move across the border too many times. Now, there are engines and transmissions and electrical systems that also cross the border multiple times, but it's probably not as rampant compared to smaller parts, I would guess. All right, I'm not a logistics master on this. All right, so that is good to know that there won't be tariffs on the smaller parts because then the vehicles would just be. I mean, if they're not affordable now, I can't imagine if every little part would be affected by tariffs. We're still going to see prices jump. They think 11% on average, but that's including cars coming into the country with a 25% tariff. Or the ones made in America will be affected under 10%. Tesla potentially as low as like 2%, but time will tell, right? Let's finish with this. Troy, Honda, operation is growing nearly 500,000 feet. Troy's Planning Commission is recommending the City Council approve a rezoning of land west of the Interstate 75 and North McKagan Avenue for a nearly 500,000 square feet industrial facility with adjoining office space. Here, I'm going to pull up the map for you guys. I'm not 100% sure what they do in Troy. Honda, as you guys know, as I detailed my trip in Marysville and the surrounding area to give you guys, I was at the Anna engine plant too. All right, to give you guys an idea of their manufacturing going on there, the consolidation of the assembly lines so that they can build EVs there as well. The Anna engine plant, that's where they're doing the mega casting and stuff, as well as other components there for EVs. But this is going to be very, very fascinating to see how this can support. Here's Anna right here. How this can support these areas and their expansion of building more cars in that area. It's going to be fascinating. Anyways, just felt like sharing that. Honda keeps building. But thank you guys for watching. Not everyone cares about commercial vans, but they're piling up for General Motors. All right. And it's not going to get any better when the tariffs hit that van and that they have to, I don't know. I don't understand how this will succeed, especially without government legislation assisting them into the future. All right, maybe they'll just supply the Canadian market, assuming tariffs stay around for a long time. But these vans piling up looks good for Ford, who builds their vans in Missouri. It looks good for Rivian, who builds their vans in Normal, Illinois. Good luck, General Motors. Tariffs or not, your product's not competing. Thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.